We have just opened the Zoom webinar for folks who have pre-registered to join us this evening. And so we'll give folks a few minutes to log in and as well as our team here at Borough Hall to transition us to live stream on our website, queensbp.org. That's queensbp.org. We will be live streaming. And as soon as we are live, we will begin our meeting. So welcome, thank you, and we'll start momentarily.
We're live on YouTube. We're live on our website.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November meeting of the Queens Parent Advisory Board. My name is Sharon Lee. I have the honor and privilege to serve as your Queensborough president. We are streaming live, this session live on our website, queensbp.org, to ensure that all the information and resources that will be discussed tonight is fully accessible and available to anyone who would like to. We have a number of folks who pre-registered to join us in the webinar. Welcome. It's wonderful that you are joining us this evening. We hope that it is fruitful and enlightening. If you have any questions over the course of the next 2 hours, please direct them into the Q&A function of the webinar. And at the conclusion of all the speakers, we will facilitate an interactive Q&A. We know that that sometimes is the most informative for a lot of our parents in particular. We do have a robust agenda tonight. We have dedicated this evening's meeting to namely admissions, right? Junior high, high school, GNT, specialized high school, college admissions, financial aid, scholarships, grants, college savings. Tis the season. Tis the season for so many families to be focusing on this, perhaps worrying about it in light of all the uncertainties that are going on. I know that the uncertainties with regard to a lot of the admissions processes in the New York City Department of Education is providing a lot of angst for families. We do have a number of representatives from the Department of Education who will be here to answer as many questions as possible. We know that folks are feeling a certain way about the recent closure, the latest temporary closure of our schools. But as we have learned over the course of this year, especially when it comes to the pandemic, it not only matters what we do, but when we do it. And it is absolutely critical to be safer than sorry. We are at a critical juncture, especially as a city, before the rise in the cases of COVID become unfettered spread. And so everything that we do now can really make or break what the next few months look like. And I will remind everyone, we're in the midst of holidays, right? Happy Diwali, belated Diwali, happy Thanksgiving in advance. Many holidays coming around the corner. And I will urge everyone to remember to stay socially distant. We know that it's painful. We know that everyone is especially looking forward to this holiday season after such a tumultuous year. But we're asking everyone to make that sacrifice for this particular holiday season. the sacrifice of not gathering, not doing what we normally do, staying disciplined, staying vigilant. We make that sacrifice, if nothing else, to honor the sacrifices of our frontline workers, who, we can give them praise verbally, audibly at 7 o'clock, like we used to do a few months ago. But to truly honor their sacrifices, we should make our sacrifices in the coming weeks. So thank you. I just want to recognize we've got, of course, the Queens representative on the New York City panel for education policy, Deborah Dillingham. Good to see you, Deb. And I also want to introduce some members of my team here at Queensborough Hall. Monica Gutierrez, my education director, whom many, if not all of you know very well. And also joining us, our colleagues, Ariella Davidoff, Chris Barca, Carolina Gill, and of course, my Chief of Staff, Vicky Morales-Casella. These webinars seem easy, but there's a lot of work that go into it. And so I want to thank my team here at Borough Hall. And with that, I will turn this over. Oh, one last thing before we begin. The next Parent Advisory Board meeting is December 10. And our guest speaker for that meeting will be Mark Cannizzaro, President of the Council for School Supervisors and Administrators, the Principals Union. So we look forward to seeing Mr. Cannizzaro then. But until then, there's a lot to do: admissions, college, high school, junior high, etc. And so, Ms. Gutierrez, please introduce our guest speakers for tonight.
Thank you, Borough President. Good evening, everybody. We're going to have a terrific program tonight. Like the Borough President said, we have very important information for everybody on the high school level, on the gifted and talented level, on the middle school level, and of course, college level, and in the pocket level, of course, financial aid, grants, and how parents are going to be able to save money to pay for college for the students. So I just want to go over some of our guests. We have Sarah Kleinhandler, who is the Chief Enrollment Officer for the Department of Education. We are going to be joined later on by Deputy Chancellor Josh Wallack. He's going to jump in while Sarah's doing her presentation. And Sarah is joined by Nadija Chadia, who's the Director of Enrollment, as well as we have Stephanie Crane, who's the Chief of Staff to the Division of Early Childhood Education and Student Enrollment. Welcome, DOE team. And then to talk about the college portion of the evening, we have Meylin Andares, who's the SUNY Director of Enrollment, Management, and Student Success. And she will talk about the SUNY schools admissions process, financial aid, scholarships, EOP program, and special accommodations for students with disabilities. We also have Mark Ciolli. He is the CUNY University Executive Director of Admissions and Recruitment. We welcome you, Mark. And he's going to be talking about the CUNY schools admissions process, financial aid, scholarships, the SEEK program, and of course, special accommodations for students with disabilities. I'm a graduate of CUNY, of Queens College. So yay to CUNY. We also have, and we welcome Nicole Barnwell, who's the founder of HBCU Hub. Hey, Nicole, how you doing? And she will talk about HBCU's admissions process, financial aid, scholarships, special programs, and also special accommodations for students with learning disabilities and physical disabilities. We also have from Townsend Harris, College Counselor Jeremy Wang. And he's going to be talking about Ivy League universities, admission process, application deadlines, and how to better prepare for college. We also have from the College Board, Associate Director for State and District Partnerships, we have Marie McGrew. Hey, Marie. And she will talk about free programs available to prepare for college and the SAT, scholarships, and grants. And let me tell you, you want to stay on for her. I know it's a long program, but she's going to talk about a lot of scholarships and grants, right, Marie? Yes. And we also have Maria Rodriguez. She is from HESC, from Financial Aid Outreach Specialist, and she will talk about the Governor's Excelsior College Grant, the College Savings Program for those parents who want to start saving for the future of their baby, and also the loan forgiveness program, how the students can get that loan forgiven. So thank you, Maria. And we also have a very special person here, Susan Shiroma from CANDID, formerly known as the Foundation Center, and she's the Network Engagement Manager for the Northwest. And she will talk about scholarships and grants available for students who qualify and don't qualify for financial aid. She's going to talk about DACA students as well and what they can apply for. So just want to welcome everyone. Thank you for being here this evening. And so now, since we have a very tight program, we want to get to the program right away. So Sarah, if you can begin. Sarah's going to be talking about the high school, middle school, gifted and talented screening and admissions process. I know if you can maybe talk a little bit about the grading policy and how that may or may not affect the students' choice of school and possibly college. I know there's going to be tons of questions at the end, so if you could do the presentation. And I just want to tell everybody, so after everybody does their presentations, we're going to go to the Q&A at the end so that we can have enough time. We know a lot of parents have questions, and we already have 20 questions on the Q&A right now. So, all right, Sarah, so take it away. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you to the Queensborough president for having us tonight and giving us the opportunity to speak with you and work with you. We know very well that families are eager for more information about admissions, and I want to share some updates with you, and then I'm happy to answer questions throughout the program. As everybody knows, due to COVID-19, we've adjusted our timelines to ensure that families have enough time to explore schools and apply once the application process opens. Right now, high school and middle school applications have not opened yet, and there will be more information in the coming weeks as to those timelines and when they will open. Additionally, to shift a little bit to the specialized high school test, we are still planning to administer the specialized high school test. It will take place later this year. We are in the midst of planning for a safe administration. Giving it later this year means that registration for the specialized high school test did not take place yet. And it will happen a little bit later this year, and there will be more to come on that in terms of timeline and date. Other components of our admissions processes, like open houses, will still take place, but there are going to be necessary adjustments to those, like moving them virtually because of COVID. While the admissions process for middle and high schools have not yet opened, we have been encouraging families to review what they can do now. And I just want to talk a little bit about what families can do now before those applications open. Families can sign up for alerts on our website, so they'll receive ongoing updates from us. They can visit our website and watch a series of admissions videos that walk families through the steps to apply to schools. These videos are replacements for some of the in-person admission sessions that we used to hold. They're very, very informative. I'm really suggesting that families do that. The benefit of the videos is that they're short and they can be easily viewed from anywhere. And families can also start to explore their options on our My Schools platform, the online application platform. And families can search for any school and learn about the offerings visiting that website. And I'm going to drop some links into the chat. And we are going to have more updates for you in the coming weeks. And I'm happy to answer questions either now or throughout the program.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so now we are going to move on to Meylin Andares, the SUNY Director of Enrollment Management and Student Success. Hey, Meylin.
Myself on mute. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I just want to start and say first that I hope that everyone and their families are safe and healthy during this challenging time. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a very unknown territory that we're all walking into, but I'm confident that we can do it together and be successful. So thank you again for having me. I'm going to share my screen for my PowerPoint. Let me know when you can see it, or someone give me a thumbs up of some sorts. Yes, thumbs up. You can see. Okay. And then I'll be able to start reviewing from the beginning. Slideshow. Sorry, everyone, I miss having two screens. I know some people know the struggle being home of having one screen. So welcome again. I'm here to provide some SUNY updates. I just want to start off by saying that we at SUNY, just a little brief overview, we have 64 campuses throughout the state of New York, and we have a lot of them in Long Island and New York City. And as you can see, this is our map. I know a lot of them think, upstate, Buffalo, Albany, New Paltz, but we have some in our backyard like FIT, Old Westbury, Farmingdale, we have Stony Brook, Suffolk, Nassau, and so on. So we do cover parts of the state, and we have different sectors. We have everything from university colleges to tech schools and community centers, and it's been a whirlwind of an experience for our campuses. So during COVID, in most of our campuses, about 85% of our campuses, or 90 almost, had a hybrid model. And that meant that they went to campus 2 weeks before campuses opened, got tested and quarantined in their dorm rooms, and then went on to start classes. Their plan was to go all the way through Thanksgiving, and then end for Thanksgiving and go home, and then be home for the rest of the break in some type of remote online learning. Unfortunately, I'm sure that you heard about our peak of cases at SUNY Oneonta and Albany, and a few cases that have increased. So if that happened, the campus did shut down and sent everybody home. If anyone did test negative on campus, then it would be them staying on campus. And if they tested positive, they would stay on campus until they tested negative prior to heading back home, right? Because we don't want to spread the disease to their family and friends while they're home. So they were able to do a hybrid. So our goal right now is shutting everything down early, depending on the spike of increases. As we know, with cold and flu season, we have encouraged our students to take the flu shot, because now with the confusion, we don't know if it's the cold or the flu, or it can be something else. So we are encouraging people to take the flu shot across the system. They had tons of sites on campus, pool testing. If they're on campus, everybody was tested weekly, bi-weekly. I'm so impressed and proud of our students trying to keep our very traditional college experience to be normal for our students, and have them have that experience, because they didn't have prom or graduation and all these things that we so look forward to. So we tried really hard. However, health is our top priority. So if our campuses did close, it is our plan for them to get home safely. Moving forward in the spring, we are planning to also have all remote learning. As of right now, if anything changes, that will be told after they're home for the month of January. So we're hoping to have some control of how the cases look, but if there's any pike whatsoever, it's going to be remote for the spring as well. So we are SAT optional at SUNY, which I'm super excited about, because I think the SAT scores personally are a barrier to access for several reasons, but we are SAT optional. So that being said, if a student did do really, really well on an exam, they're more than happy to submit them. However, it's important to know that they fall within the range of those requirements. Everything stays the same as far as GPA and personal essay and letters of recommendation and so on. They're welcome to submit scores. We are looking at the Office of Undergraduate Admissions across system. We are looking at more of a holistic process of review, which I will talk about in the next slide, or maybe I'll go in a few sectors afterwards. As far as financial aid updates, we do encourage students to file the FAFSA and New York State applications. For our undocumented students, we do encourage the DREAM Act and the TAP application as well. I did have a session on November 7th. No information on any programs have been cut at this point. I know budget and money is a big topic right now, but we have not been notified that any cuts will be moving forward as far as budget cuts for financial aid or EOP programs. To remind students not to be discouraged by anything related to COVID-19 or any changes in family income, and to advocate for themselves. Is really the time for students to really express what happened at their house, at their homes, their parents lost a job. So really reiterate the importance of the financial need in their households on the FAFSA end. Smart Track, it's on the website that I'll forward to Monica for everyone. It is a free online source called SUNY Smart Track. And please, Monica, cut me off. Try to talk as quickly as I can. Smart Track is a free online course that gives students an opportunity to talk about estimates and glossary and vocabulary for both the parent and the student. The parent and the student, as well as anyone in the household. Right now, our focus is obviously on the high school student, but there are parents going back to school and people in the household also considering other options. So this is a free option tool for them to go online and check exactly how to navigate the process of financial aid. COVID online learning, as we all know, it is not easy for our students to transition from in-person to remote learning. It could be a challenge for many students on various reasons, and more importantly, it doesn't help them academically strengthen their skills. So we have tons of resources available as far as mental health and nutrition and technology. For any of our incoming EOP students in the program, we actually got a generous donation in $2.5 million to give laptops for all incoming EOP freshmen for this year. So every EOP freshman got a free laptop and a hotspot and access for them to have access to Wi-Fi and technology at home. But this website is just additional resources for anybody else who's home as far as benefits for Spectrum, technology, any counseling vaccine efforts, and so on if they decided to stay home. This is what I meant to put earlier slide as far as the holistic review. They're looking at the grade point average, at the Regents exam scores, at the academic trend, or anything, like in the trajectory. Look at the strength of the curriculum for admissions, extracurricular activities, anything, being a volunteer prior to COVID, work experience, and the emphasis on anything with motivation and resilience. So parents on the line, do not worry if your student's not taking the Regents exam. If exams were not taken, they will not be penalized for not taking any exam. If they did, great. If they did not, it's not going to impact any admissions decision. Sessions we have on the SUNY website for general SUNY sessions as far as EOP as well. And then we have a website for disability services. These are our top priorities. So if your student has anything in the application process, my number one advice is to research the schools that they're going to be applying to and look up their disability centers and see if there's a correlation between what your student needs and what they offer at that campus. If they do not, it's definitely for sure available at a nearby campus, or you can have someone actually come over from a different campus and give your student the resources needed. This is my email and my number. I want it to be short and sweet because I know we have a lot of people on the panel today.
Thank you, Meylin. And before we move forward, for those of you who are just joining us, you can get the list of speakers if you go to queensbp.org/education, and you'll get the list of all the speakers this evening. I just want to also acknowledge Alan Beru. He's the Queensborough Director in the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, Division of Community Empowerment, Partnerships and Communications for the DOE. So thank you, Alan. All right, so now we are going to move to CUNY. Like I mentioned before, I'm a graduate of CUNY. I went to Queens College. I love that school and I love the campus. So Mark, if you can talk about the CUNY universities.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I want to echo Meylin and send CUNY's heartfelt wishes to all of your families. We hope you are safe and well. I have put some links in the chat for your reference. These are our virtual resources for your college search, and all the questions that you might have will likely be answered at these websites. And I'll highlight a few as I share my screen. Can I get a thumbs up that you are all seeing this? Wonderful, thank you very much. So I represent the City University of New York. I am the Executive Director of Admissions at the Chancery, the Office of a Chancery, which means I get the privilege of sharing the good news about CUNY and all 25 of our colleges. As you all know, we educate over 275,000 students in the New York area. And we really are a part of this city. So our experience is that of the city. And I want you to know that we stand in solidarity with you. What you need to know is that we are open for business, even if we are delivering courses virtually. In fact, 98% of our courses are being delivered virtually. Our services are also being delivered virtually unabated. So please know that we offer the full range of student services for students and prospective students as well. Now you see here that we truly are a part of the city of New York. 25 colleges in the capital of the world. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen our campuses or have visited our campuses, and we certainly encourage you to do that virtually during this time. We offer a high quality, affordable education, and we are as committed to that as ever. We believe that an exceptional education shouldn't empty your pocketbook. So you see there that we are very affordable at our four-year institution, $7,000 a year, and about $5,000 a year for our community colleges. 65% of our students attend tuition free, and 3 in 4 graduate debt free. We know that during this time when the economy needs a boost, it is very important that you keep cost and value in mind as you pursue your education. And we certainly offer that value. We, of course, have the full range of support networks for you. Monica mentioned the Seek and College Discovery Program. This is CUNY's Educational Opportunity Program. It's a comprehensive support program for students who qualify. So please look into that if you think you qualify. Every student that applies to CUNY is considered for the Seek or College Discovery process if they meet the financial requirements. We also offer honors programs that I think you should all be aware of. One in particular, the Macaulay Honors Program, is one of the most prestigious four-year college programs in the country. And there's an update that you should note about this program. This year, the Macaulay deadline has been extended to December 8th. So keep that in mind if you're looking to apply to our Macaulay Honors Program. And you can certainly apply to CUNY at any time. In fact, I would encourage you to spend this weekend applying if you haven't already. You can apply to up to 6 CUNY colleges with one application. And if you are a member of the DOE and qualify for a fee waiver, we have distributed over 45,000 fee waivers to the DOE for distribution to students in need. We're happy that that program was not cut, and we want to thank the mayor publicly for his conscientious efforts to support that program. Now, I want to just spend a few minutes talking about our response to the pandemic, because I think it's important to know what you can expect as a student at CUNY. We very rapidly made the transition to distance learning. As I said before, over 98% of our courses are delivered online. That will likely be true for the spring as well, although we haven't announced that officially. So unless something changes, we will provide remote learning through to the spring. All students who are in need of either a laptop, a tablet, or a MiFi device were provided that in the spring. It's very important to us that even students who need access to those devices have them to continue their education. Our food pantries have never closed. Many of our students are food insecure. And in fact, if you attend one CUNY, you can go to any CUNY food pantry and receive the support you need. I'd also like to point out that we are helping our students who are in financial need through a number of measures, some federally funded, but more importantly, the Chancellor's Fund has distributed over $17 million in the past 6 months to students in need. Many students who are undocumented at CUNY received this support as well. So none of our students from anywhere go without. It's very important that we support our students, and you should know that. We've also allowed students the option of taking credit or no credit with their coursework during this time, and that's a policy we may continue into the spring as well. So stay tuned there. And now I want to sort of close out the presentation by directing you to a few resources that we have developed to help you virtually find your way to CUNY. The first is the new student enrollment guide, and I'm going to just show you a demonstration of that here. This is a one-stop shop where you can have all your enrollment needs met at CUNY. Admissions, financial aid, advisement, registration, transfer students, support programs, and then links to every college underneath the CUNY banner, virtual tours, and so on. The next resource I'd like to show is our How to Apply page. This is a newly revamped page that we think is a little more intuitive and will be helpful as you apply to CUNY and beyond. I also want to point out that we have also redone our application review page. Now, you may be asking, why did we do this? Well, because we have a new way of reviewing applications in light of the suspension of SAT and ACT in our admission process. This is known in the business as a test blind admission policy. So let me repeat that. We do not require the SAT or the ACT to apply to CUNY, nor will we use it in the determination of admissions if students send it to us. So I encourage you to go to this page, and then also this page, our temporary suspension of testing website, to answer all your questions on how that matters for your application review. And then the last resource I'd like to point out is an application tutorial. This will take you through the CUNY application and show you all the ins and outs and pro tips you will need to quickly and thoroughly complete your admission application. With that, I want you to stay in touch. Know that we are available on phone and via email. And of course, you can always contact me as well. I'll share my information in the chat when I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I just wanted to add, does the CUNY universities, do they still have the nurseries for those students who have small children? I believe they take kids who are 2 years and a little bit older.
That's correct. So we have child care centers at all of our campuses, and those child care centers remained open even during the pandemic to support our staff and our students who were in need.
Thank you, Mark. And Meylin, so for those of you who are tuning in, Meylin is from the SUNY, from the State University. Does SUNY have nurseries also for those students who have children?
Absolutely. In addition, we offer a stipend if they're home remote learning, for a stipend for like a nearby daycare center if they're open to help them financially. So if they're home remote learning with a daycare center and there's a place close by that's safe and open, it's totally fine for them to leave their children there. It's a stipend offered through SUNY as well. I also wanted to add, because Mark reminds me, about food pantries and undocumented students, in which we also offer at SUNY as well.
Great. Thank you, Meylin. Thank you, Mark, again. All right, wonderful. So now we are going to move on to Nicole Barnwell. She's the founder of HBCU. She's the founder of HBCU Hub. And I just want to mention that our new Vice President, Kamala Harris, she is a graduate of an HBCU, Howard University.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, everybody, and the whole Queens Borough President team for allowing me to be here to present on behalf of HBCUs and the HBCU community here in New York. I'm going to share my screen and present. Let's see. As Monica mentioned, I am the president and founder of the HBCU Hub, which is a nonprofit organization here in New York that helps students to discover, gain admission to, prepare, and enroll at historically Black colleges and universities. I've been doing advocacy work on behalf of HBCUs here in New York for about over 10 years now, ever since I graduated from Hampton University in 2008. I've experienced every angle of the recruitment process, from actually being recruited as a HBCU student from New York, to actually recruiting on behalf of the university, to actually hosting HBCU fairs and organizing HBCU events, and now establishing an organization to ensure that students are being educated and supported in their HBCU goals, endeavors, etc. So I'm really, really excited to be here to share about the work that we're doing as an organization. We have a program called HBCU Hub University, which is our college access program, where we help students to actually transition to HBCUs. Last year, we had about 5 students in our pilot program were able to successfully transition. Although, learning remotely currently, they were also able to acquire over $100,000 worth of scholarships. And so we just, our goal is to make sure that students know that, if you would like to go to HBCU, it's absolutely possible. And we as an organization are here to support that. We are, as an organization, board run. We're also supported by a group of HBCU alumni. We refer to as our HBCU advocates, who also, support us in the work. We host events, presentations such as these, all for the purpose of educating students as well as parents and families about historically Black colleges and universities. So what exactly is an HBCU, right? So HBCUs, or historically Black colleges and universities, are actually defined in the Constitution, in Title III of the Higher Education Act of 1965. And they define it as any school of higher education with a mission that was established prior to 1964 with a mission of educating African Americans. And so it's important that I note that, because sometimes, certain schools kind of get clumped into HBCUs, for one reason or another, but it's really important to note that, HBCUs are very, very specific in their definition. And so they are institutions established prior to 1964 with the mission of educating Black Americans. Of course, open to all students from all backgrounds and nationalities, but they were established with that mission. HBCUs have an economic impact of over $14 billion, represent 3% of all four-year nonprofit colleges and universities, and enroll 10% of African Americans, and they graduate 20% of all Black students who acquire a college education on the undergraduate level. In 2018, HBCUs, or non-Black students, made up 24% of enrollment at HBCUs, which just goes to show that, non-Black students are seeing the value in the education received at historically Black colleges. And on average, looking at, all colleges across the board, HBCUs are 28% less costly than non-HBCUs. 2014 Gallup Purdue poll reports that African American graduates of HBCUs are more likely to have been supported and to be thriving afterward after college in comparison to students who did not graduate from HBCU. And so just really quickly, I wanted to share some information about some of the partner schools that some of the schools that are part, if I can just navigate this properly. Let's see. Sorry, I'm a Google Meets person, so I might just skip this. Just skip that part. To talk a little bit about the admissions and admissions process, HBCUs, of course, you know, similar to any other kind of school, they look at GPA, SAT, and ACT, you know, leadership positions, volunteer positions, of course, essay, and letters of recommendation. There are quite a few schools that, you know, similar to the SUNY and CUNY schools that spoke earlier, are they are test optional or, you know, not looking at the exams. So, you know, all of that is based on the school. You know, there are over 100 HBCUs across the United States and the Virgin Islands. And so each school, of course, will have their own, you know, their own policies around tests. And as it relates to different or alternative methods of applying to HBCUs, of course, most accept applications online, but there are also schools HBCUs that accept the Common Application, as well as the Black College Common App, which is a resource for students who are interested in applying to more than one historically Black college at a time. The Black College Common App is an application that allows students to apply to 35 different HBCUs. So that's just something that I like to mention to help, again, streamline application process for those families or students that are interested in applying to HBCUs. Another way that I would suggest for New York students, especially considering there are no HBCUs in New York, all HBCUs are out of state. And so, you know, I would suggest for students to look for on-site admissions programs where university reps come, you know, they come to, you know, different programs such as Black College Expo or the Malcolm Bernard HBCU Fair, and they actually give same-day decisions. And so that's always, you know, ideal way to connect with counselors, considering HBCU admissions counselors do not come to New York often. And this year, of course, has been unique because everything's been virtual. So there have been a lot more opportunities for students to connect with HBCU university reps. But generally speaking, on-site admissions, when we're doing in person, they are an ideal method of applying to HBCUs. Of course, HBCUs also offer summer bridge programs, which are for students who may not have all the requirements for the school that they're looking to apply to. HBCUs offer bridge programs where students can take a certain number of classes, and, you know, based on their performance, they'll be admitted to the school. So these are just, you know, some options as it relates to like recruitment and admissions that, you know, is good to be aware of. Most HBCUs, as it relates to students with disabilities, considering HBCUs are federally funded, they all are required to be 504 compliant. They all have offices that deal with and that accommodate students with disabilities. As it relates to scholarship and financial aid, of course, all HBCUs and all schools, they funnel all of their financial aid activities through the FAFSA. Although, you know, there many times at HBCUs is limited, you know, for institutional aid. There are many scholarships that are available to students. The goal and a lot of the scholarships are merit-based. So, you know, when it comes to GPA and SAT scores, those are always going to heavily, you know, play a part in whether or not a student is awarded an institutional scholarship. But we also always encourage students to look into Alumni Association scholarships. The United Negro College Fund is an awesome resource that is, you know, one of the top scholarship websites for students of color to access different opportunities for funding, as well as Thurgood Marshall College Fund, of course, private scholarships on, My Scholarly, to, of course, College Board, and the like, where, students can search to look for scholarships. And of course, last resort, but, we do make sure that students are aware that, loans are available as well as it relates to financial aid. So that's all for me. Thank you again for having me. I'll also drop my information in the chat so that it'll be more easily accessible. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nicole. I just want to also mention that Morgan Stanley also has scholarships for those students applying to HBCUs. Thank you, Nicole. All righty, so now we are going to have Jeremy Wang. He is a college counselor at Townsend Harris High School, and he's going to talk about the Ivy League schools, the admissions process, application deadlines, and how to better prepare for college. So Jeremy, take it away. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be part of this very important event. I'm going to share my screen as well. I prepared a presentation, and give me just 1 second. I'm going to start from the beginning.
Well, while you do that, I'm just going to explain to the parents what the Ivy Leagues are. So Jeremy's going to talk about Harvard University, Columbia University, NYU, all of that. Right, Jeremy?
Absolutely. I can talk a little bit about their admission process, and that's somewhat different from our public schools, even though the majority of the requirements are more or less the same. But in any case, I just want to distinguish, there are two major categories of colleges. And just in case some of the parents are not aware, we have public universities and private universities. And SUNYs and CUNYs are all public universities. Even some of the HBCUs are private schools. And we are talking more about private schools who are top-notch and who are very, very hard to get in. For instance, the Ivy League schools, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the first things. But before I move on, I'd like to thank Monica Gutierrez and also the Queensborough President's Office for including Townsend Harris in this very important event. And I'm Jeremy Wang. This is my 6th year at Townsend Harris High School, one of the top high schools in New York City. And also at the same time, since we are school counselors and we don't have the specific title of college counselor, we have a comprehensive responsibility ranging from working with students with IEP and also social emotional counseling, as well as college counseling. The only responsibility that we don't have is admission from middle school to high school. That's the only responsibility the school counselors at Townsend Harris do not have. Let's move on. And colleges also vary differently in other categories, such as whether it's 4-year or 2-year colleges. Usually community colleges are 2-year colleges, and 4-year colleges are usually the major university centers, such as Stony Brook, Binghamton, Harvard, Columbia, NYU. These are all 4-year colleges, versus BMCC or QCC. These are usually 2-year colleges. The size, location, distance from home, selectivity, and affordability. And generally speaking, public universities are more affordable than private schools. However, private schools usually have more flexibility in offering their scholarships, and because they have their own endowments, versus public universities usually don't have that flexibility. And also we have co-ed and single-sex universities, colleges, and there are some really top-notch all-women schools such as Barnard, Wellesley, and Smith College, so on and so forth. So I just want to mention that very briefly. And actually, when I was composing this presentation, this slide, I actually had the Ivy League schools in mind. When Monica mentioned about the Ivy League schools, we actually used Ivy League schools as a synonym of the top universities. There are actually only 8 Ivy League schools. They are Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Brown, Dartmouth, Columbia, Cornell, UPenn, and so on and so forth. There are 8 of them. But now we are mentioning Ivy League schools. We usually tend to include schools such as MIT, but MIT is not an Ivy League school, or Stanford. These are extremely difficult to get into schools. These are top-notch schools, even including Duke, Notre Dame, and so on and so forth. So when we are talking about Ivy League school admission application, there are a list of documents that they all have to be top-notch. It's not just one is standing out, the other one is not. The first thing first, and also this is always the most important part. This is how I communicate with my parents and my students at the same time. Your academic records is always the number one. It's the most important document. And when people say GPA, I would say GPA is actually part of your high school transcript. Your high school transcript probably is the more accurate term to say, because in your high school transcript, there are 3 major components, to say the least. One is your GPA. That's the easiest thing to spot. That's the overall average. Usually in New York City public schools is the overall average. The second part is the rigor of your curriculum. Did you take advantage of the challenging classes that are available at your school? For instance, at Townsend Harris High School, we have about 25 AP classes. It's not the most largest number at other schools such as Stuyvesant and Brown Science. They probably can offer more AP classes because of their number of students, and so on and so forth. The rigor of curriculum is the second part. And the third part would be the trend of your progress from 9th grade on to 10th grade to 11th grade. How did you progress? Did you become a stronger student? Did you stay as strong from day one? Or did your grades fluctuate? Because when you present your transcript, you have, by the time you apply to colleges, you have 6 semesters in your transcript. If you put the averages of the 6 semesters in the scale, you should be able to see 6 dots. And if you connect the 6 dots, you get a line, up, down, flat, or zigzag. The second part would be it should be considered as part of your academic records. That is your SAT and ACT. Although SAT and ACT have become completely optional in all colleges, including all the Ivy League schools, including Harvard University. And at the end, I'm going to say something about what's different in this year's college admission process. And college essay is also a very, very important piece in terms of Ivy League school admission, because the Ivy League schools are looking for intellectuals, deep thinkers, and characters, and so on and so forth. So this college essay is not a simple description of what you did, how you did it. It is actually, it's a self-analytical essay. How deep did you deal with yourself? How much can you demonstrate you are such an intellect in the making? So the colleges, the Ivy League schools pay really close attention to this, in addition to your writing skills, of course. Extracurricular activities. In this area, we are looking more at qualities such as leadership, athletic, artistic, and all other things. It could be everything. It could be something that really stand out. And also another document that are very important would be your counselor and teacher recommendations. These are usually required by the Ivy League schools. And most of the Ivy League schools would require 2 classroom teacher recommendations. The teacher recommendations usually should focus on your junior year and senior year and keep it balanced. You have a teacher from the humanities subjects, such as English, history, and language, and another teacher from the other subject areas, the STEM, science and mathematics. So that would be a balanced recommendation. And usually the Ivy League schools want to see how you performed in both areas, because we all know that the way you learn humanities is different from the way that you learn STEM. So this is the slide that I really focused on, the Ivy League school admission, and this is what they are looking for, and so on and so forth. And again, the test test scores have become optional this year because all the SAT, ACT have been canceled by and large. The only school that offered SAT exam, as far as I have heard, is the Horace Mann in Upper Manhattan that offered a September test. I don't understand why, but they did it. And also preparation for college. It's never too early. All 4 years are very important. And every year you do something different. You progress, you actually make improvements in your classes. When you become more mature, you take on more responsibilities. So junior year and senior years are actually more important in terms of your records. And also at the same time, junior year usually marks the beginning of your college selection process. And applying to colleges, when do you apply to colleges? A student will apply to college in their senior year, in the fall semester of their senior year. Common application is the most common application, even though CUNY schools don't necessarily use common application, especially if you apply to Macaulay Honors, they still do not use Common App. They rely on the CUNY first application. And like Mark said before, you can apply to CUNY schools with one shot, with 6 schools in one shot. And also you apply to a variety of colleges. Some are your reach schools, some are appropriate school for you and would be easy for you, somewhat easier for you. And also there will be a group of schools that will more or less give you a guarantee to be accepted so that you don't fall through the cracks. And also apply to a number of the appropriate number of colleges. Usually we would recommend our students to apply to somewhere between 8 and 12 colleges at the same time. Application deadlines. This is actually one of the areas that I'd like to spend half a minute on. There are early applications such as early action or early decision. They usually, the deadlines usually fall in the beginning of November. So we are already in the middle of November. So early decision, early action deadlines have by and large been over. And regular decisions are usually ranging from November 30th. That's the University of California. They have their dates set there. And our CUNY Macaulay Honors, they used to be December 1st. And this year, it's been pushed back to December 8th. And also we have the general regular application deadlines by all the competitive schools. They usually fall between December 31st and January 15th, and some can be as late as April 1st. So those are the differences. And early decision, early action, early decision is binding. So when you apply early decision, you have to sign an agreement. The agreement has to be signed between a parent, a student, and also your guidance counselor at the school. And required documents also vary. I give you a list of required documents before, so I'm not going to repeat that. And student is actually the driver in this process. You are the main character, main person so there are 4 parties who are directly involved in a student's college application paperwork: student, parents, teachers, and counselors. I'm not going to go into the details because of the time. I'm going to go into other things very briefly. What's different for the class of 2021? And a class includes all Ivy League schools are no longer requiring SAT or ACT test scores. And extracurricular activities are severely limited because of the COVID. And also I actually have a document that was a collective statement by college admission deans, care counts in crisis. This was actually published by 315 college deans on June 29th of 2020. There are 5 major components. 1 is self-care. 2, academic work. Service to others is number 3. Family contribution. And number 5 is extracurricular and summer activities. So academic work, I just want to say very briefly, it's how you're engaged in learning rather than having 500 AP classes in your transcript. How well did you engage in your learning? And also extracurricular and summer activities. Actually, the first statement in this component, it says, no student will be disadvantaged for a lack of such activities. So just relax. And the colleges are also aware. They are not in ivory towers. They are where they are just like Meylin and Mark, and they are actually with us. They know what's going on with our daily life. So we should actually look at ourselves very, very importantly, very, very keenly, and deal deep into our own intellectual ability and write out a very beautiful college essay and present yourself that way. And in Common App this year, there is also an optional question regarding COVID-19, how that pandemic affected you. And we know that this any pandemic or any human disaster can actually have a long-lasting impact on a person's life. And so in this Common App, they give you a word limit of 250, explain how this pandemic affected you in what particular way. Rather than talking about anything else, rather talking about how the political scene is what's going on, you should focus on yourself, how this pandemic affected you, the applicant. That is actually very, very important. So these are the most outstanding differences that is actually affecting the current seniors or the class of 2021. I guess my presentation is here. I'll stand by and I'll wait for questions. I'll be happy to address them. And thank you again.
Thank you, Jeremy. I just had a thought with a lot of the students going remote. Are there any discounts? I love discounts that the colleges are giving to parents, because college is expensive. So I was just wondering, maybe if SUNY, CUNY, the private schools.
Yeah, absolutely. HBCU is definitely discounted their tuition for sure.
What about SUNY?
Am I off mute? Yes. So we are not as far as tuition, but similar to CUNY, some of our student fees are being discounted. But if you are remote learning, it's no charge for any room and board. So it's not included in your overall expenses. So if you are going to be staying home, it's not charging you for the room and board, which as SUNY is like our most expensive piece is the room and board. But tuition is staying the same, but there are discounting other fees.
It's the same. I think it's the same in the Ivy League schools. I have some students who are attending Harvard and UPenn. They are actually staying home, so they are not charged with room and board.
That's good.
That's a discount.
I love discounts. I don't know if Mark, if you want to add anything. I know Meylin already.
Sure.
Yeah.
Similar to Meylin, we have cut some certain fees that were incurred when students were on campus, and most of our students live at home anyway. And interestingly enough, this spring, if we continue with remote learning, it will be the cheapest ever to go to CUNY. I mean, we're already one of the most affordable institutions in the country, and so we're very cognizant of cost. In fact, as I said before, over 70% of our students attend tuition free already because of the financial aid that they receive.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, great. So now we're going to move on to, we have Marie McGrew. She's from the College Board, Associate Director for State and District Partnerships. Welcome, Marie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me participate on this panel. I just want to say I hope everybody is staying safe and feeling well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. And if I could get a thumbs up if you are seeing my screen. Terrific. Let's go into slideshow mode. Here we go. So I just wanted to talk briefly about some student resources that College Board has. So you heard a lot about college admissions tonight already. Because I'm College Board, I am going to start very quickly by talking about the SAT. So as you know, we colleges and universities are being very flexible in their admissions process this year. We actually have an entire higher ed team that is working with higher ed institutions to offer that flexibility and to really ease the tension around the SAT. So some of this flexibility that we're talking to colleges and universities about is particularly around not faulting students who are unable to take the SAT due to COVID, recognizing that repeat test taking is something that's very limited this year for students. So you can see, as several of our panelists, or a handful of our panelists talked about tonight, higher ed institutions are going test blind or test optional and things like that. So the SAT, however, if your students do decide that they want to take the SAT, these are the dates that are coming up in the spring. And I just wanted you to be aware of those. I mean, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. I know there are many cancellations and test center closures, but these are the dates that are scheduled for the spring. Just so you have that information, if your students do decide that they want to take the SAT, College Board actually offers free SAT practice with Khan Academy. So Khan Academy is a nonprofit organization that we partnered with about 3 or 4 years ago to help sort of level the playing field for students. It's available to all students. It's completely free. So students would go to satpractice.org. And Khan Academy has delivered over 400 million lessons, but they've developed comprehensive SAT practice materials in partnership with the College Board. So these practice materials are personalized, they're customized to each individual student, which is great. So what's great about Khan Academy lessons is it really focuses on skill building. So the way it works is, like, if a student takes an assessment like the PSAT, the student can actually go into their College Board account and then link that with Khan Academy. And by linking College Board and Khan Academy accounts, the Khan Academy is able to use the performance data from the assessment to create a personalized learning roadmap for the students. So this is a kind of a visual snapshot of how that works. And this student in particular, Tiffany, once she links her College Board and Khan Academy accounts, that score performance data is uploaded, and then she has a customized study plan. If a student has not taken an assessment and wants to jump on Khan Academy and just start practicing for an SAT on their own, there are diagnostic exams available in there that they can take in order to customize the study plan. So if they choose not to link their College Board account, or they haven't taken a PSAT or anything like that, they can still use Khan Academy free official SAT practice. So I did want to let you all know that that is available for students who are planning to take the SAT. The next thing I want to talk about is Student Search Service. So Student Search Service is an opt-in program. Students can opt in to Student Search Service. And then what would happen is that this is what connects them to colleges and scholarship programs. So once they're opted in, they would get information about financial aid, about scholarships, other ways to make college more affordable, details about campus life and student services, overviews of majors, courses, and degree options, deadline information, research has shown that students who participate in student search service, who opt in, are 12% more likely than their peers to enroll at a four-year college. So I can say personally, I'm a product of student search. When I was in high school, I did not go to a school that was abundant in resources. I didn't have a lot of guidance about college, and I didn't at home either. And so, took the PSAT and I checked the box to opt into student search. And then when I eventually had to take the SAT and did that, I suddenly started getting mail from colleges. And I was a person who was not even sure if I was going to apply to college, because it was just so unfamiliar to me, the whole process. But just getting that mail and realizing like colleges know about me was such an amazing feeling. So student search service, typically students opt in by checking a box when they take the SAT. They check a box on their on the answer sheet. But because of everything going on this year with the remote and the students not able to take these assessments or sit in buildings and all of that, for 2020 this year, we've created a simpler online opt-in. So students would just go to studentsearch.collegeboard.org and opt in there, and they can opt out whenever they want. If they no longer want to be receiving any information from colleges or scholarship programs, they can easily opt out. So I did want you to know that we have made that process much more simple this year. And again, we have a variety of scholarship partners that students would hear from. Some of the scholarships are more merit-based, some are based on economic guidelines, things like that. So there are a whole host. Some are based on nationality or ethnicity, things like that. So there are a lot of different scholarship partners that College Board would connect these students to. And then the third thing I want to talk about, this is fairly new, is the College Board Opportunity Scholarships. This is something I'm really excited about. The College Board Opportunity Scholarships launched in 2018. What's unique about the College Board Opportunity Scholarships is that we're awarding scholarships to students for just taking key steps in their path towards college. So they don't have to write an essay. They don't have to have a minimum GPA requirement. They don't have to have a certain SAT score. Basically, these are micro scholarships that we are awarding to students just by completing key action steps. So building your college list, that essentially means we want the students to go on Big Future, which is a site that College Board partners with, and then just put 6 colleges on a list. And just by doing that, the student is put into a drawing, a pool, where they can win $500. We're pulling 700 individual scholarships. Practice for the SAT is another step. Improve your score is a step. And that would be from PSAT to SAT. And then strengthen your college list. That means just going back into that initial list and modifying it to have a couple of reach schools, a couple of target schools, things like that. And then that would put you into a drawing. Completing the FAFSA. This is a step students are probably already doing. So just by completing the FAFSA, the student can be put into a drawing for a $1,000 scholarship. So this is right now for the class of 2021. And again, applying to colleges is the final step. This is for the class of 2021. Now, one thing I want to let you know is when a student completes all 6 of these steps, they're automatically put into a drawing for a $40,000 scholarship. That's what we call the Complete Your Journey Scholarship. And that is we draw 25 winners for the Complete Your Journey $40,000 scholarship. However, along the way, students can win multiple micro scholarships by completing these steps. I do want to say that in March, we had our first drawing for the Complete Your Journey for the class of 2020. 3 students in New York won out of the 25. 3 were from New York and 1 was from New York City DOE public school up near Washington Heights. So that's really exciting, and we got to notify her virtually over Zoom, but I think she was quite surprised to hear from College Board that she had won $40,000. But one thing I want to say, because of the world we're now in, we've made some modifications here to this list. So the Improve Your Score Scholarship. Now, normally that would be the student would have to have taken a PSAT or an SAT and then take it again to be eligible for this particular micro scholarship. This year, because of everything going on, the student does not have to complete that Improve Your Score step and can still be eligible for the Complete Your Journey scholarship. So even though they would not complete that particular step, we would consider them completing all steps this year. The other thing is with the Complete the FAFSA. Now we understand that some students aren't able to complete a FAFSA for a variety of reasons. We want these scholarships to be open and available to all students. So if for some reason the student can't complete the FAFSA, when they opt into the College Board Opportunity Scholarship Program to start completing these steps, for that step, they can just check a box that says, I'm not able to fill out the FAFSA. And then that is considered complete, and they would still be able to be in the pool for the $40,000 scholarship. So those are 2 steps that are not required necessarily for the $40,000 scholarship. This is the calendar, kind of how it works, just to give you a little bit of insight and how we're drawing winners. So right now, the completing the FAFSA is kind of the big one that students are focused on right now. As you can see from this calendar, this timeline, we're drawing 200, well, we drew 200 winners last month. We're drawing 200 winners this month, another 200 winners in December, 100 winners in January, and 100 in February. So those are each individual scholarships. I can tell you right now, so far as of this year, counting this month, counting all of last month, we have not pulled November yet. We've had 237 winners in New York that have won these various micro scholarships. So just wanted to let you know about that. And if you go to collegeboard.org/opportunity, that is how your students can opt in. So those are the 3 big things I wanted to talk to you about. Thank you so much for joining. And obviously I will be sticking around for any questions. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you, Marie. I just wanted to add also for the parents, right? I know college is a very expensive time in your child's life. And there are options in college that are really not well known. And what I'm going to talk about is that students can do double majors for the same price. So when your child starts college, try to look into having a double major, and what it is, it's like a concise amount of credits for the same amount of money. And in this market, that just makes the child more marketable. So maybe they can do a major and a minor. That is always helpful. I know I have double majors, and I majored in political science, and I majored in communications, and I've worked for television in the news department, and I've worked for government and policy for many years. So that just makes you more marketable, and that's what you want. especially, you know, when we have different economies, as you know, when the economy's good, great, but when it's not so great, and, you know, right now there's budget cuts everywhere, you want to make sure that your child is very marketable. So please look into that. Also, I want to add, it's important when your child is in college to do internships, because once they graduate and they apply for a job, they are going to require, you know, experience. So even if they say, oh, it's entry level, even entry level, they require some sort of experience. And what kind of experience can you get for a student who has no experience? And the way to do it is through internships. I know of people who graduated college, did not do any internships, and have spent a good number of years looking for a good job. I know of one in particular who couldn't find a job for several years because he did no internships. So I just want to give parents the heads up. It's very important. You know, you may not hear this a lot. You know, parents hear a lot about, you know, the grades, get the grades high, you know, to get into college and the SATs. But, you know, once you're in college, you know, it's important to do the internships. It's important to look at the double majors and the minors. So just wanted to mention that so parents can think about that. All right, great, thanks. So now we are going to have Maria Rodriguez. She is from the New York State Higher Education Services Corporation. She's going to talk about the Excelsior program. And that's the program that the governor signed a few years ago. I remember when Bernie Sanders was running for president, he was talking about free college for everybody. And so Maria's going to talk a little bit about the Excelsior program, which I know if the parent makes combined income of $125,000 or less, the student qualifies, but there are certain things attached to that. But Maria can talk a little bit more about that. And she's going to talk about the college savings plan for those parents who have little ones and would like to save for your child for college. And she's also going to talk about the loan forgiveness program. Thank you, Maria. Take it away. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I really want to take a minute to thank the Queensboro president for inviting me, and to thank you, Monica, for the invitation. And I'm going to now try to share my screen because I want to share my website. Are you guys able to see it?
Not yet, no.
Not yet? Okay, let me see.
Well, while you get that on, I just want to add a few more things about the college experience. The first year that your child applies, goes to college, you know, try to have them acclimated to the college experience, because sometimes kids get so excited they want to join every club on campus. And, you know, for many students, it's the first time that they're away from home. So my advice to parents and for students is wait on joining the clubs. Maybe you can, you know, go to their events, but if you want to run for office for those clubs, wait at least a year until you really know how the college process is, because you don't want your grades to suffer. Because I know, you know, in college, some of these events that they have are really wonderful and kids stay behind and miss class. So if you are not disciplined, the child's not disciplined, you know, they can run into issues. So that first year of college, they should not join anything. And I would say maybe the second, third year, they can run for you know, college president, student college president, and everything else. But other than that, that first year should really be dedicated to getting used to that college experience, especially for those students who it's the first time being away from home. Okay, great. So Maria's ready. Thanks.
Monica, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of who we are. So my agency is the New York State Higher Education Services Corporation, and we are the state financial aid agency that administer, or our main task is basically to administer all the New York State financial aid program. We currently administer about 27, 28 programs, including TAP, and the Excelsior and loan forgiveness program in addition to the saving plan. But in addition to that, our agency also conduct financial aid presentation. We try to provide information to students and parents about the financial aid system, the programs that are available, and the application process. Okay. Currently, with the new way of communicating, we're not doing in-person presentation, but we are trying to finalize a platform where we will be having those presentation online. But we are working with different high school where we are presenting on financial aid program, how the system works basically. So please, if you are interested in getting more information about the different programs that we have, please visit this website. And as you can see, we have more than 27 programs to help you pay for college. And I'm just going to take, I know that this is not on the schedule for today, but I just want to tell you that a little bit about the New York State Tuition Assistance Program. It's basically a New York State need-based grant program, and it's a grant that you don't have to repay after receiving it. So it's free money. And basically, TAP is awarded to help cover tuition-only costs, okay? And it's available for students who are attending full-time or part-time in a college that is located in New York State. Currently, the maximum that a student can receive is $5,165 per year. And the qualification on that amount will depend on the family financial situation. So whatever information you input in your application, it will determine the amount that you will receive. And now to talk about the Excelsior Scholarship. This is basically a scholarship that provides full in-state tuition for students attending SUNY or CUNY. And the scholarship is will deduct any amount that you receive from Pell, TAP, or other financial aid program that cover tuition, okay? One of the key factors in order for you to be eligible to receive this program is that you will have to, like your family, is the family income. The family will have to be making $125,000 or less. Basically, the student will be need to take 30 credit per year. So it has to be a full-time student.
I'm sorry.
And after graduation, the student will need to stay in New York for the same amount of year that the award was given. So it's for 4 years. Yes.
Hi, Maria. I'm sorry. Are you very close to the microphone? Because it sounds a little like you're going in and out.
Can you hear me now? I am very close, so I'm not sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's more clear. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So so basically this program, you will have to be a full-time student. I don't know if you guys heard me clearly before, but one of the key components to be eligible to receive this program is that your family income. Basically, the family has to have an income of $125,000 or less. And the student have to be a full student taking 12 credit. But at the end of the year, you will have to have 30 credits, okay? So it's important for you guys to really understand what are the requirements, because after you receive this grant or this scholarship, you will be required to stay in New York for the same amount of year that the award was given. So if a student went to a 4-year college and the scholarship was given, then you will be expected to stay in New York for 4 years after that. Let's say that a student decided that they're going to go to graduate school and they go to graduate school for 2 years. Those 2 years will count as part of the resident requirement. And, if you need to work, we also are expecting you to work in New York. So, it's very important for you guys to understand this, because if you guys don't stay in New York after receiving this grant, what will happen is that if you leave without asking for an extension, what will happen is that this will turn into a loan free of interest. So if we provided you with $10,000, you will have to pay us back $10,000, and we will give you 10 years. Okay. The other program that we want to discuss today is the loan forgiveness program. And this is a program that basically, under certain conditions, you may have all or part of your educational loan cancel. And basically, it will be in exchange for a qualifying work or service that that you will be providing for a period of time. Okay. And we have a number, and let me see if I can show you some of the programs that we have. My internet is very slow. It's not, I'm clicking and it's not going. But we have some programs that are based for students that are working for ACS.
Maria, I'm
or
so sorry, and you're breaking up again.
Becoming teachers. I'm breaking up. I'm so sorry.
No.
So basically, this is the. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes. Can everybody else hear?
My internet is horrible. So basically, these are some of those loan forgiveness program. As you can see, you can go and see if you're interested in them, but they are very great. And one program that I always tell students and family to really look for is the New York State Get on Your Feet Loan Forgiveness Program, because this program is for students who graduate college and are making $50,000 or less. You can apply for this program, and we don't get a lot of people applying for them. So please just make sure that you go on the website and make sure that you are familiar with some of this program after you graduate, because you might be able to qualify to receive those programs. And then the last one is the 529 saving plan, which is the college saving plan. This is a great, also another great way of you saving for college. As we know, college is very expensive. So the early that you start planning and also planning for the financial support, the better it will be. This program also help you with make you save taxes while saving for college. You can use it to attend a eligible 2-year, 4-year college, also technical school, also trade school. And you don't have to use it just in New York. Like if you want to go to any school in the United States and also abroad, you just have to go to the Department of Education, New York State Department of Education, and they have a listing of all the eligible school that you can apply. Okay. And as I said before, we have like about 28 different programs. Please make sure that you visit the website and see what program you can qualify to apply, because we have a lot of programs that sometimes students do not. And I'm trying to get to another one that I think is a very great program that we don't get a lot of students applying to, and it's the New York STEM incentive program. And this is for students who are seeking a degree in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. It's based on merit, so you will have to be graduating at the top 10% of your graduating class. So please, visit the website and see all the programs that we have. And I will be here until the end of the program, so that if you have any questions about the different programs that I discussed, I will be more than happy to answer them.
Great. Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your presentation. Okay, wonderful. So now we have Susan Shiroma from CANDID, and she's the Network Engagement Manager for Northwest for CANDID, which was formerly known as a foundation center. I just want to add, for those of you out there watching, CANDID is the biggest, is the not-for-profit with the biggest amount of scholarships and grants in the country. They also have scholarships and grants. So not only for education, but they also have, like, let's say, for example, for if you want to start a business or you are in the arts and you need a grant to do a film, or you need a grant to start a business. So it's a really, really great organization. I mean, aside from education, for those of you who would like to look further into the organization, I just, wanted to add that. Susan. And Susan's been really great, patient waiting. So go ahead, take it away.
Thank you so much. So thank you to the Queensborough President's Office. Thank you to the Parent Advisory Task Force. And thank you to all the parents and high school students out there who are joining us tonight. Wonderful presenters. I learned so much that I think I have to update my bibliography. Okay, so I do have a couple of PowerPoint slides, and let me get them rolling. Also want to let folks on the call know that Monica has a full set of these PowerPoint slides because I only pulled out about 10 of them today. So I'm going to be really brief, but searching for scholarships for your child, or perhaps your high school student is searching for scholarships themselves, it definitely is an activity that's not a one-off. My message to high school students is that, by the way, they should start this process of looking for private foundation scholarships and learning about the college application process and learning about financial aid. They should pretty much be starting that in the earlier high school years. I always tell high school students I meet that they should start looking for private scholarships, as well as finding out how to fill out the FAFSA form by perhaps the sophomore, junior year at the latest. So part of my presentation today is kind of a subset of actually a 90-minute class we teach called Finding Foundation Support for Your Education. I checked our database this morning, and there are literally 232,000 active institutional grant makers. And these are private grant makers exclusive of the federal government. So it does comprise the bulk of America's private foundation community. However, the challenge for scholarship seekers is that out of those 232,000 active grant makers in our database, there's only about 10,000 of them who consistently cut checks to us as individuals, versus the majority of foundations are cutting checks to 501c3 nonprofit organizations. So looking for private scholarships is a competitive process. And my advice is always, there is so much more federal agency money out there. You have to make sure you fill out that FAFSA form to make sure you're availing yourself of all of the resources. And then institutionally, from the college's viewpoint, many of the financial aid offices do use, what you say in your FAFSA form is used to help evaluate internally whether or not you're eligible for any private scholarship money that the college or university knows about, that perhaps you might not have been able to find using various college scholarship search engines. So I do have my email up on the screen there, which is susan.shiroma@candid.org. Feel free to contact me at any time after this class. And parents and high school students, you are not alone, and particularly you're not alone during this COVID-19 pandemic. We have librarians that we work with literally all over the United States who can help answer your questions about fundraising. So, tonight we're talking about a very like a narrow project. That's fundraising for those college scholarships. But literally every year your child is in college. they are always looking for grants and scholarships to pay for the next year of college. Maybe they're going to have to look for grants and scholarships to pay for graduate school, professional school. Once you're out there, you'll be looking for grants and scholarships for your private endeavors. So, getting the facts and figures down about the private foundation community, it's a great thing to do starting in high school. So we at CANDID, and we did used to be called Foundation Center, we actually have a close relationship with the Queens Public Library System. There is the Mahendra Inderjeet is our contact at the Central Library and Merrick Boulevard. I've got Mahendra's email up there, particularly for teachers on the call today. If you've got questions about scholarships or want the Queens Library to give your students a tour of their scholarship resources, that might have to be done virtually these days. Mahendra is the person you want to contact. The other thing about the Queens Central Library and Merrick Boulevard is during this time of COVID-19, they are offering Queens, New Yorkers, free access from your homes to one of our databases called Foundation Directory Online Essential. And you can use this product to set up some basic scholarship searches for your child. So, please, if you want to contact Mahendra, if you need a tour or a class for your students, if you have questions about how to use the database, you can certainly ask our CANDID online librarians. We have an Ask Us service. This is the URL to that. We literally can have a live chat with you Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 5 p.m. When you have fundraising questions after 5 p.m. or on the weekends or at 7 a.m. in the morning before work starts, please use our Ask Us service. Just fill out the form. And when we get back into the office, we will start responding to your questions. The Queens Central Library also has a terrific Ask a Librarian service. So, take advantage of these resources to have librarians respond to your questions about where to find scholarships. Now, this class, which is Finding Foundation Support for Your Education, normally runs about 60 to 90 minutes. So I also have the links here to the recorded webinar for this class. All right. So anyway, basically, this is the framework for approaching private foundations. Basic facts about them and what they support. By the way, is a 501c3. We're a nonprofit organization that's been, we're new, but we've got a combined 88 years of experience looking at grants data in the philanthropic sector. And, our mission is very simple these days. CANDID gets you the information you need to do good. So whether or not you're a student, your form of doing good is to go to college and get out there and make the world a better place. So if you're a nonprofit organization, you would certainly be using our resources to find private support for your nonprofit work. So if we were sitting together, a room of high school students and myself, my advice to them would be take a 5-step approach to finding private foundation scholarships, but know that there is a lot more federal money out there, as in government money out there, to support your college education. So these searches for private foundation scholarships, I would say, are kind of supplemental. They can certainly fill a gap in your financial aid plan. They're supplemental to learning about how you might apply for federal aid. So we want you to think about creating your plan of study. We want you to think about your case for support that you present to a college's financial aid office, to a private scholarship provider. And we want you to think about who your family knows. Who is your family affiliated with? If you have union members in your family, there's a chance that union offers a college scholarship. One of the really cool college scholarship programs in Queens, I think we have a Queens Electrical Union. They do a great job providing scholarships to high school students. And then step 4 would be put the time and effort in before junior year and during junior year to sit down and run these scholarship searches. You shouldn't have to pay for access to any of these databases. There are many, many free scholarship search tools that are out there on the internet. You'll have to run your scholarship search through several of them because they're all produced by different publishers and vendors. But we want you to begin identifying potential funding sources for your college education, at least 2 years before you're a senior. When you're a senior, you're absolutely too busy senior year, finalizing your college lists and actually applying for them. So, certainly by the end of junior year, that summer of junior year, at the latest, we'd love the high school students to have a sense of what scholarships they're going to be applying to. And then you have to fill out these applications, and there may be follow-up with many of these scholarship providers. So a couple of tips here. The worksheets that I'm going to show you help you to creatively assess your profile as a high school student. They make you put down in paper all of the characteristics and backgrounds and achievements that make you unique. And they also make you think about who you know in the community. Because for each of these items that make you unique, we could do a search for them. And that could be, does somebody in your family have a learning disability? Do you have a learning disability? We can use that to dive into one of our database products or a college scholarship search tool and look for scholarships based on that type of disability. So there are many, many different types of scholarships available out there. Follow the funder's guidelines carefully. You always want to identify the latest guidelines and the most current deadlines from each of these funders. There are plenty of lists of scholarships out there. Some of them may be a year old, but in this age of internet, you can definitely click on the scholarship provider's web link and get up-to-date information that'll help you apply, 6 months down the line. We'd love you to consider applying early, like early bird does get the worm, and then to multiple sources. So apply to as many scholarships as you can handle. And it does get easier every time you fill out one of these application packages. Deadlines typically fall between December and then we go into the next year, March and April. Looking for money is definitely an activity that requires you to stay determined. And again, you have to look for money when you're a freshman in college. You're looking for money when you're a sophomore, junior, senior. So if you learn the ropes when you're a high school student, it'll make things a little easier when you get to college. Now, about these private foundations. So they are nonprofit organizations, and many of them are run by families who set up these private organizations. They're nonprofit organizations, and their job, their mission is to give out grants. So I mentioned this today, I saw we had 232,000 active institutional grant makers in our database. Again, because the law says they should be cutting their checks to 501c3s, there's only a pool of about 10,000 of them that are comfortable cutting scholarship checks, cutting grants directly to individuals. So it is a competitive field, and they're all fairly unique. There's no one standard application form for all of these private foundations. There are many common myths. Okay, so you don't have the 4.0 GPA. Maybe we can look for a scholarship for students with C averages. So there are ways around not having the highest academic standing. Yes, it's true. Many foundations are going to look at your economic background and use that as a basis to determine if you are eligible for foundation support. But there are just as many funders out there who are looking to give merit-based support. Tip to the parents, you should not be paying financial aid consultants to actually run these scholarship searches for you. Everything they can find about scholarships for your child, you can find if you put the time into running these internet searches. If libraries were open, I would definitely recommend that you go to the largest library in your area and look through their scholarship directories. Right now, your research is going to be conducted on the internet, and there are many, many wonderful web tools that you can use that are free. So one of the biggest myths in this field is that each year millions of scholarship dollars go unclaimed. Total myth. There are a group of 10,000 foundations that consistently support us as individuals, but most foundations would prefer to give their grant support directly to the universities and the schools. So they are supporting higher education. Foundations are supporting scholarships and endowments, but again, they would prefer to give their money to the school, which comes back to your FAFSA form, which is one of the tools that a private institution will use to determine if you're eligible for some scholarship money that they know about that perhaps you don't know about. So, again, foundations are giving scholarships for a variety of reasons to recognize academic excellence, certainly is one of them. But again, if you don't have a high GPA, let's look for a scholarship perhaps for a B student or a C student. Helping students who demonstrate financially definitely is one reason. How about recognizing your athletic and artistic talent? How about fostering your interest in a particular academic field of study, as in the next generation of scholars in that field? Many foundations are giving scholarships to help members of underrepresented groups. My apologies to the men in the room. I have never seen a scholarship directory that says financial aid for men. However, I've seen many, many scholarship directories with titles along the line, financial aid for women. However, men in the room, you can use these scholarship search engines and literally keyword man, male, and you may come up with some scholarships that are designed for males. How about scholarships to assist students from the local community of a particular religious faith, ethnic background, racial background, etc. So scholarships are fairly diverse in terms of the groups they're looking at. Now, for those of you at home, you might have to kind of blow up your screen just a little bit, but this is a quick example of some worksheets that we use with high school students. I'm going to, like with a high school student, I definitely want to make sure they can tell me how much it costs to go to a private school versus how much it costs to go to CUNY and SUNY. We want them to be well aware of all aspects of the expenses. Now, this particular sheet, which is used with high school students to help them plan their study, also makes them realize there are multiple leads on support to fund your education. So we want the students to be able to tell us, do you know about school-based scholarships? So if you're going to NYU, are there any scholarships just for kids going to NYU? If you went to a big public high, there's actually one big public high school in Staten Island where there's a scholarship program, but the kids have to be graduates of that public high school. What kind of research have you done as a student about federal grants and loans available? And by the way, the reason we put the time and effort into learning about these private foundation scholarships is they potentially could reduce the amount of loan that you're going to kind of take out of your college education. So foundation awards, other private sources, at the bottom of this page, we have your personal family contributions and loans at the bottom, because we want the student to be looking at scholarships to supplement, their financial aid packages. So every student presents a very unique case for support. This kind of worksheet will ask a student, tell me about what you plan on studying, what you study in high school, what were your special interests, talents, hobbies, athletic abilities, accomplishments. And, we are going to ask about nationality, ethnicity, race, marital status, and gender. And many high school students do have special circumstances. So once they fill out one of these sheets, I see a whole slew of keywords that we can take when we dive into one of these scholarship search engines. Who you know? So we are going to ask, parents, who are your employers? Do you belong to unions? What are your religious affiliations? Do you belong to a professional trade association? How involved are you in the community and civic organizations? Are you a member of the military? Chances are there could be scholarships available for each of these categories if you are a member of one of those. Now, I'm going to shortcut this, identifying potential funding sources. So got a screenshot here now. Thank you to the Queens Public Library System for providing the public with free remote access. during this COVID-19 crisis to one of our database products. So you have a link up here where you can find from your home, from the safety of your home, Foundation Directory Online. There is a little chat now feature in the upper right-hand corner. You can click that and get our online librarians to help you out with the search. You can ask Mahendra for some samples, or you can email me and I can review with you how to do an advanced search on this to tease out the scholarships. Once the Queens Central Library reopens and it's safe to go into their computer lab, which is located on the first floor, those librarians are providing you with on-site access to a database called Grants to Individuals Online, which is a product we designed to help you sift through those 10,000 foundations that will cut their checks directly to us as students or artists, writers. Also, families in need sometimes use this database to look for scholarships. Peter?
I'm sorry, Susan, we have like just very few minutes for questions, and we have a lot of questions. If all of this, we can email it to the parents.
Yep.
Susan has a really great PowerPoint presentation. I'm just so sorry to jump in, excuse me, and interrupt the presentation, but I know there's a lot of questions in the Q&A.
Just one last shout out to the high school principals in Queens. That some of our high school principals and college guidance counselors have done a remarkable job on their websites listing scholarships by deadlines for students. If you don't go to Bayside High School or Cardozo High School, you can still use their lists because these scholarships are available to everybody. And John Bound High School, that guidance counselor, did a really good job not only of supplying her students with regular scholarships, but she's got a special area of her website that lists scholarships for undocumented students. So it's all about the internet research these days.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for your time, everybody. I just want to go and jump quickly to the Q&A. We have the first question. With schools suddenly closing and some families having limited access to internet and still don't understand about the high school admissions process, what other resources are available to them and what is being done to help families with their high school application process? Same as with middle school and college as well.
Hi, yes, thank you so much for that question. Again, as soon as we have the policy, we're going to get it out to families. The resources are online. If a family is having difficulty accessing online, I would recommend that they call P311 and we can give them direction on how to work with their schools and get resources from their schools around the middle and high school admissions process.
Do we know when around that application for high school is going to be coming out about approximately?
We are going to have more information for you in the coming weeks. So we really, I know that this is frustrating. And I know that that is not the answer that everybody wants to hear. I don't have the policy with me tonight, and I'm not sure at this very moment when the middle and high school applications will open. As soon as we have that information, we're going to get it into everybody's hands.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I have another question. Could someone please ascertain if and when the Gifted and Talented Elementary School entry test will be administered for fall of 2021 entry?
So again, more information to come on Gifted and Talented as well. As soon as we have that information, we're going to let you know. We're committed to sharing the information the moment we get it, and I don't have that information right now.
Great, thanks. Carolina, if you want to jump in.
Sure. How long will state exams be canceled for? Is this something that will continue for the following school year? Anybody has an answer for that from DOE?
So I definitely can go back to the team that works with the state and negotiates about the state exams, and I could come back to this group and give the information back, or through Alon, I can do that. Yes.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, how will the change in grading and no state exams, Regents exams, affect my child's chances of getting into college, especially the Ivy League schools?
COE.
Does someone have, does the college counselor from Townsend Harris have a response for that? I mean, we can.
So I can't speak for the Ivy Leagues, but I can speak to CUNY and likely SUNY. We review the overall academic record. And so we realize that students, especially now, aren't going to present Regents scores. And so they won't be penalized because of that. We're looking at the grades in courses over the course of 4 years. We also understand that some students are presenting grades that don't have a numerical value. And so they might just be for credit, or they may even present an X grade, right? And they have an opportunity to sort of change that up until, I believe, March 1st, but my colleagues at the DOE can correct me. So we're aware of that. And I think our policy at CUNY is going to be one of extreme flexibility, especially this cycle and next. So for the spring 21, fall 21, and spring 22, to make sure that we look at the overall academic record, including the non-academic factors, right? Essays that the students have written, letters of recommendation, and so on. So I would encourage all of you, regardless of where you apply, to provide as much information as possible to the colleges and universities so that we have the proper context. And I would also say that we at the university level work very closely with our colleagues at the DOE to make sure that we understand the context that students are coming from. So your student is not going to be compared to students at other high schools, but rather with the opportunities that they had at their high school. And that's very important to us. So, and of course, you can always get in touch with us if you have questions about that. So I hope that answers the question. Again, I can't answer it for the Ivies, but I imagine that it's very similar.
Thank you.
From the DOE's point of view, there are some documents that would actually explain the school situation, may not explain specifically individual situations, but in DOE's transcript, there will be an explanation. There is actually an explanation of what the Regents exams have been canceled. So all students who took a Regents class will receive a credit, whether it's 65 or 100. There's no difference. You're going to receive just one letter grade. And also at the same time, every school would have a high school profile. In the high school profile, we actually explain our specific individual high school situation. So when the colleges pick up our school profile, they understand what is actually happening. Actually, from Townsend Harris' point of view, we actually reached out to the Ivy League schools and asked them exactly what kind of information they're looking for. They said that they understand this is a pandemic. So this disaster is actually affecting every single high school, even though it's affecting high schools differently. Therefore, we actually compose our own unique situation rather than a general situation. So from the general point of view, we actually have explained that in our high school profile. And also DOE has allowed parents and students to change their numerical grades into credit, CR. That is actually happening right now at the high school level. So the student would not be penalized for having 65. It shows up, it's still going to affect their overall average. If you have a CR, that's not going to be factored into your overall average. So in that sense, DOE is actually taking that into consideration. That will help individual students.
Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, so I have two questions. What are the test dates for specialized high schools?
As I said earlier, the specialized high school test will be given. It will be given later this year, and we do not have the dates exactly yet. When we have the dates, we're going to make them public.
Thank you. Another DOE question. How long will the new grading policy be in place?
It's going to
stay
as there is, we can see. As far as we can see a lot of important tests have been canceled, including the January Regents exam, the January Regents English Regents exam that has been canceled. So far, we really cannot foresee too far. And I saw in the question whether the DOE is going to offer the March SAT exam. At this point, we don't know. Some of my parents asked the question at the parent-teacher conference last week. We just cannot predict that.
Thank you. Carolina?
Yes. What is Townsend Harris basing their admissions if grades for the 7th grade are currently pass or fail?
Yeah, that is a very good question that I'm not able to answer because my assistant principal, who is actually directly involved in the admission process, is also waiting for the DOE's directive on how we are going to evaluate individual applicants. So that question, I'm not able to give you a intelligent answer.
No problem. Thank you. This one is for the SAT test. Would it be a test that will be provided electronically where kids are going to be taking it home, or would they be going to a site to take the test once the date is set up?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. That's a good question, and we are actually working with our partners in the Office of Assessment to determine the safest way to administer the test. And once that is finalized, we will share that information with you. But we are taking safety first into consideration as we make these plans to administer the examination.
Thank you. Have all schools now changed their screening processes now that there is a new grading policy and no state exams? Sarah?
Yeah, hi. So again, we don't have the policy at this moment on how admissions is going to work for either middle school or high school. So once that policy is in place and public, there will be direction given to schools and families.
Thank you. Can anyone from the DOE provide details of how students will be selected for gifted and talented programs this year? I'm among the thousands of families in the dark about this important education opportunity.
So gifted and talented is also something that is being worked on right now, and we don't have information to give out at this moment. As soon as we do, we're going to make sure that we make that public for families.
Thanks. We have time for just a few more questions. Carolina? I just want to, somebody has a question about the materials today. All the materials today, all the PowerPoint presentations will be emailed to everybody who RSVP'd. So if you RSVP'd and you provided your email, we will provide all the PowerPoint presentations tomorrow. We can email them to you. Let's see. And this webinar, there's another question. Will this webinar be recorded? This webinar is recorded. If you can watch it on YouTube right now, parents are watching through also our homepage at queensbp.org.
This is a question that maybe SUNY and CUNY can answer. The test option and policy for SUNY, I guess, sorry, is the test option and policy for SUNY only available for current high school seniors, or will it apply to the class of 2020?
You mean the seniors graduating now going into the freshman year for next fall 2021?
Possibly, it just came from a parent.
Yeah, so as of right now, the SAT optional are only for fall 2021 and spring 2022. As of right now, we don't know if that may change in the future, but for right now, it's only for next fall and next spring.
Thank you.
And Mark, I don't know if it's the same, but I want to give you a chance to talk about CUNY.
Sure. So CUNY is temporarily test blind for the spring of 21, this coming spring, the fall of 21, this coming fall, and the spring of 22. At the end of that period, we will reassess our policy.
If the SHSAT is being given so late, and SHSAT means specialized high school test is being given so late this year, when will we get the high school acceptance letters?
That's a good question. We are, as I said, we are planning on giving the specialized high school test. And with that, we expect that the timeline will be, will follow the school calendar, and we will make sure that families know whether they qualify or not by the end of the school year.
Okay, thank you. So it's already past 8 o'clock. I just want to thank everyone for coming out this evening and joining us virtually. Our next Parent Advisory Board meeting will be December 10th with Mark Cannizzaro, who's the president of the Principals and School Administrators Union. I just want to say, with all of there's still some questions here in the Q&A. So we will answer those questions. If those parents who ask them, if they can email me, that way I know your emails and who sent them in, because I would like to get those questions answered. Every question is important for the parents in order to make informed decisions for their child. So I'll give you my email address. I'll give you an easier one. It's education@queensbp.org. Or you can email me at M as in mother, GUT like Tom, IERREZ like zebra @queensbp.org. So I would like to thank everyone. If parents can snap a picture of the chat, a lot of the contacts are there. It's easier if you snap a picture of it instead of writing everything down before we wrap up. So I just want to thank everybody from DOE and from CUNY and from SUNY and from the HBCU, from Townsend Harris, Deborah Dillingham. We also have from the College Board, and we have from HESC. I hope I didn't miss anybody. And I just want to thank our staff for being on board. And I just want to thank all of the parents who are watching tonight. Please be safe, wear your masks, use your hand sanitizers. I have mine here. Please be safe, and happy Thanksgiving.